we are in the last video section. We've been going step by step through what we call the prehistoric brain, our prehistoric brain. And any aspect of it, I think, is worth kind of reflection or contemplation. But let's get practical. What, other than it being, I think, exceptionally interesting, what does it mean for us today? What's practical about this information? Well, the first thing is that just because we are contemporary, and this explanation occurred literally thousands of years ago, we still have neurologically these evolved aspects that we've been talking about. We still have an intrinsic response to sustained darkness, even though electricity lights up our life. The advantage of darkness is that it acts fundamentally as a psychoactive agent. What's a psychoactive agent? You probably encountered it before in our discussions. Psycho, mind, active, something that activates dynamic qualities in our mind, in our brain, is a psychoactive agent. I've said this before, but to clarify, all psychedelic compounds are psychoactive agents, but not all psychoactive agents are psychedelic compounds. So psychedelic compounds, to me, fit into a broader category of kinds of stimulation that will motivate our brain to make dynamic changes. I like saying, I think it's true, that a brain that can change when change is required is a healthy brain. I don't believe there's any one ideal state. I don't believe there's any one ideal frequency, in the same way that there's no one particular way to sit in a chair that you move to adapt according to stimulation. So, one of the fundamental psychoactive agents is this thing we call dark. And dark meditation retreats, sensory deprivation, float tanks, these things all are motivators for adaptive change. Some psychoactive agents provide stimulation. Ironically, some psychoactive agents function because they lack stimulation. They don't give you information from the outside. If there's no information from the outside, where does the information come from? Inside. This, frankly, is a lot of what happens in classic meditation techniques, is that you reduce the stimulation down to very basic stimulation. Well, in dark, at least in terms of vision, you're lacking it. So the dark cave or dark experience is a psychoactive agent, and I think we should reflect upon that. Then psychoactive sound. There's a lot of interest now in different forms of music or sound stimulation, sound healing, sound bowls, all these things. Well, again, it's kind of a stripping away because we live in such a noisy world. There's noise / sound. Like, what's the difference between noise and sound? There's sound everywhere, but some noise is irritating. Some sound is irritating. But other sounds are pleasant. But, unless you put your hands like that, you can't stop sound. So the early psychoacoustics of caves and caverns in the dark, what does that say to us? Yeah, let's not just live in a spaghetti sea of sound all the time. Let's see if we can craft sound. Actually, a lot of it affects us at a very, very primitive level. Dark, sound, light, here we go. It's very much a a yin and yang kind of world in that way. No sound, sound. No light, light. Obviously, we take advantage of that with the NeuroVIZR, the light and sound, but also it's in this enclosure. It's as though you go into a dark cave. I think, without going through each and every one of the topics that we discussed, I think the basic thing I have to share or express is that maybe a lot like Carhart-Harris, that primary consciousness, the early brain, has not left us. That it is fully there, even neurologically, like the neuroanthropologists say, our brain has neurognostic structures that are totally there, that we don't have this extraordinary mind because our brain screws up. Now, if you stay there too long, okay, maybe we can call you crazy. But the other end of crazy is no flexibility at all, and you're stuck in a mummy, zombie-like base with no expansion. So, we need both. That's not any big news. However, I think to reflect on how much of my brain functions the way it does because of the slow and purposeful evolutionary adaptation that we humans have gone through to the point where we are now. So let's keep our prehistoric brain practical and recognize in a friendly way, maybe it's not bad to spend some time in the cave of consciousness. Thank you.